The legal appointment, that's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments, there will be anything, it'll just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's going on.
Is this the beginning of the downfall for Dalton, Illinois' self-proclaimed super mayor Tiffany Henyard? A political storm filled with scandals, accusations, and intense investigations is rapidly unfolding, threatening to dismantle a now empire built on controversy and taxpayer dollars. Henyard, whose name has now become synonymous with chaos in local governance, finds herself at the center of escalating probes into financial misconduct, misuse of public funds, and abuse of power, all while carefully maintaining an image of success. Critics argue that Henyard has prioritized her personal ambitions over the welfare of the public, especially as reports emerge detailing extravagant spending on luxury vacations, upscale accommodations, and an astonishing $40,000 Amazon shopping spree charged to township credit cards. These revelations have sparked outrage among residents, many of whom struggle to make ends meet on a median income that barely covers basic living expenses. Meanwhile, Henyard's leadership style, often characterized as authoritarian and combative, has only deepened divisions within the community. Her fiery speeches and social media tirades against her critics have alienated many, raising serious concerns about her professionalism. However, while her supporters view her defiance as a show of strength and resilience, the growing cracks in her administration are becoming impossible to ignore. Allegations of predatory behavior, manipulation of township resources, and attempts to silence dissent have created a deeply troubling picture of a leader losing control. The consequences of these scandals have not only eroded public confidence, but have also led to legal action and an FBI investigation. With controversy mounting at every turn, Henyard now finds herself scrambling to defend her position. The narrative of a community-focused leader is being replaced by that of a politician caught in a web of her own making. As Dalton struggles with financial instability and an increasing lack of trust in leadership, the town's residents, alongside political adversaries, are demanding greater transparency and accountability. Many are questioning how such behavior was allowed to persist unchecked for so long. For Dalton, the stakes have never been higher. Whether this marks the end of Henyard's controversial reign or the beginning of a drawn-out battle for political survival, one thing is certain. The drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard has reached a breaking point, and the consequences of her actions will be felt far beyond the walls of Dalton's government.
Several new developments in South suburban Dalton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial.
Recent developments in Dalton, Illinois, have cast an unfavorable spotlight on the escalating dysfunction and mounting controversy surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration, further destabilizing a community already grappling with financial instability and deep-seated political turmoil. The Illinois State Comptroller recently withheld payments to the village due to its failure to submit mandatory financial reports, triggering widespread frustration and alarm among residents. This delay has intensified concerns regarding Dalton's fiscal health, exacerbating tensions between Henyard and her critics. In what many perceived as an unconventional and dramatic move, Henyard convened a special meeting that, rather than addressing the village's pressing financial woes, resembled more of a personal spectacle. Standing alone in an almost deserted room, Henyard delivered an impassioned monologue directed at an absent group of trustees, emphatically declaring her unwavering commitment to continue governing despite growing opposition. The absence of trustees at this meeting served as a stark representation of Dalton's fractured leadership, and further emphasized the widening rift between Henyard and those who view her leadership style as authoritarian and self-serving. For her detractors, this solo performance reinforced the perception of a mayor becoming increasingly isolated and detached from the realities and needs of the community. Henyard's administration has been plagued by ongoing controversy, with persistent allegations of financial mismanagement and impropriety. The delayed state payments have only fueled suspicions regarding the village's financial stability under her leadership. Many residents and political opponents argue that Henyard's failure to collaborate effectively with trustees has worsened the village's predicament, leaving crucial governance matters unresolved with no clear path forward. Conversely, Henyard's EU supporters praised her defiant stance, interpreting it as a courageous refusal to yield in the face of adversity. They framed her actions as a determined fight for the community and her vision for Dalton. To them, her solitary stand symbolized resilience against a hostile political environment deliberately engineered to undermine her leadership. However, for the average resident, exhausted by the relentless political conflict, Henyard's dramatic display did little to restore faith in the town's leadership. Many now perceive Dalton's current state as a cautionary tale of what transpires when governance collapses, leaving the community to bear the burden of stagnation and financial uncertainty. The delayed state payments, a direct consequence of the village's failure to meet financial reporting obligations, have led many to question Henyard's ability to manage Dalton's affairs effectively. As a result, demands for greater accountability and transparency have intensified, with residents seeking clear answers regarding the allocation of taxpayer funds and the deteriorating state of the town's finances. The crisis has further magnified Dalton's leadership turmoil, placing the town at a critical crossroads. At the heart of this financial disorder lies Henyard's controversial spending, which has become a central flashpoint in the ongoing saga surrounding her administration. In response, township trustees recently took a bold and contentious step to curb Henyard's spending by implementing a stringent new credit card policy. This measure was a direct reaction to what they described as her reckless use of township funds as a personal financial reservoir. Frustrated by what they perceived as rampant financial mismanagement, trustees aimed to enforce stricter oversight over the township's expenditures, hoping to rein in Henyard's excessive spending habits. However, Henyard was not about to let this challenge go unanswered. In a fiery and emotional public response, she accused the trustees of more than just limiting her financial discretion. She asserted that their actions were part of a calculated effort to undermine her leadership and, more alarmingly, essential township services. In a dramatic and impassioned defense, Henyard painted a grim picture of potential chaos, warning that the newly imposed policies would bring township operations to a standstill. She argued that this was not merely an attack on her authority, but an attack on Dalton itself. To underscore her argument, Henyard resorted to a striking and somewhat exaggerated analogy, claiming that the township might no longer be able to afford ice cream for a senior social event. Imagine that. Elderly residents eagerly awaiting a simple pleasure, only to have it stripped away due to political maneuvering. This vivid imagery of senior citizens being deprived of ice cream became the focal point of Henyard's defiant narrative. Her supporters rallied behind her, echoing her frustration and decrying what they perceived as an unjust effort to sabotage her leadership and dismiss her dedication to serving the community. However, Henyard's critics saw the situation through an entirely different lens. To them, the trustees' decision was not only justified, but long overdue. They pointed to years of allegations regarding Henyard's lavish spending habits, unnecessary travel, extravagant dinners, and excessive personal luxuries as evidence that her leadership was self-serving and disconnected from the community's actual needs. For Henyard's opponents, her claims about the canceled ice cream social were nothing more than a diversion, a calculated attempt to shift focus away from the real issue at hand, her financial mismanagement and the strain it had placed on the township's resources. Residents of Dalton, caught in the crossfire of this intensifying political feud, found themselves deeply divided. Some continued to support Henyard, viewing her as a leader under siege, unfairly targeted by political adversaries. These supporters argued that she was a fighter for the people, willing to challenge the establishment to push forward what she believed was best for Dalton Township. On the other hand, a growing number of residents began questioning her priorities, increasingly seeing her as the architect of the township's financial turmoil. The battle over the credit card policy became yet another contentious issue in the ongoing political warfare engulfing Dalton, with Henyard's defiance and the trustees' determination further driving the town into chaos. As the conflict escalates, the community remains uncertain about how to move forward and whether Henyard's leadership can withstand the mounting pressure of public scrutiny and internal opposition. The stakes are extraordinarily high, with both sides refusing to back down and the future of Dalton Township hanging precariously in the balance. Amid this political turmoil, a new and explosive development has emerged, further fueling the controversy. A whistleblower has stepped forward, adding another layer of scandal to an already tumultuous administration. Carmen Carlisle, a former close ally of Mayor Henyard, has come forward with a series of damning allegations that paint a deeply troubling picture of unethical behavior and exploitation under Henyard's leadership. Carlisle, along with her former assistant, has accused Henyard of systematically exploiting employees, vendors, and even residents to build her personal power and maintain an illusion of success. According to Carlisle, Henyard manipulated the inner workings of her administration, leveraging the trust and hard work of others to project an image of effective leadership, all while prioritizing her own lavish lifestyle at the expense of the very community she was elected to serve. Perhaps the most shocking of Carlisle's revelations is her claim that Henyard used taxpayer dollars to fund her extravagant lifestyle, including luxury vacations, stays at high-end hotels, and excessive shopping sprees. One of the most egregious examples of this alleged financial misconduct is an astounding $440,000 Amazon shopping spree, all charged to the township's credit cards. Carlisle argues that these exorbitant expenditures are symptomatic of a broader culture of financial irresponsibility and abuse of power that has flourished under Henyard's leadership. The revelations have sent shockwaves through the community, already struggling with delayed state payments and worsening fiscal instability. Residents are left wondering how such excesses could have occurred in a town where so many are struggling to make ends meet. Carlisle's accusations have reignited long-standing concerns about transparency, accountability, and the misuse of public funds, further intensifying calls for an independent investigation into Henyard's administration. As scrutiny grows and public pressure mounts, the question now facing Dalton is no longer just about Henyard's spending habits. It is about whether the town's leadership can survive the crisis that has engulfed it. With each passing day, the uncertainty surrounding Dalton's future deepens, leaving residents to question how much longer the township can endure the turbulence of Henyard's rule.